Gilbert brought 20 niggas or 15 niggas from California, and they was going to jail every other day. This nigga coming to DC. Them DC niggas, they don't play that shit. Shout out to DC. Them DC niggas, they got country ties. Most of them DC niggas, most of their family from the South, they'll beat your ass. You know, they could be short, they could be skinny, but them hands quick. So, you know, he was coming there talking that California talk. He going to jail every other goddamn, this is supposed to be the leader of the team. He going to jail every other goddamn week. They writing stories about me, but they got it. They just bought here, $60, $100 million man. He going to jail every other week in the club. Anybody from DC tell me I'm lying. They covering up stores. They doing all kinds.
It's a lot of politics involved with it, man.
A lot of politics in this prison shit, man. A lot of politics, man. You know.
You never had no incidents with you ever had any encounters with the guys from DC?
Oh, I got a bunch of my partners, man. One of my boys is KB, man. Kevin Gray, man. He was big top. They're one of the biggest.
Oh yeah, I heard of him. Kevin Gray.
It came out of there, man. That's my man, Kevin Gray, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. The DC he had it on lock. His uncle, his cousin, Linwood Gray. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a whole Gray. They had that shit on lock. Now he got like 9 life sentences right now. You just send him over to ADX and shit. He locked down because niggas stole on him in the other jail. He was over there grinding, hustling, doing his thing, and you know they hated.
Wow.
And there's a lot of jealousy. Yeah, man. Yeah, there's a lot of jealousy in this fence, man. You got to be careful what you're doing because they're snitching out there. They're snitching in here too.
What's the What's the worst, most violent institution you've been in?
Man, I could say Leavenworth pen was jumping with more knife blades over there because like in 2001 they closed down the DC state prison and they moved all the DC inmates to the feds. Mm-hmm. But when they came in, you know, they still got that state mentality. And they into, you know, going wild and shit. They wasn't into the having meetings or sit down with different crews. It was just, you know, do whatever, you know. They
wasn't with it?
A lot of stabbings was going down, you know.
They wasn't with none of the negotiating?
Yeah, ain't no negotiation. They coming in hungry. A lot of them is broke. Cause, see, most of them coming off from D.C. got a little bunch of petty robberies and, you know, shit like that, assaults and all type of shit. So they don't care, you know. In the feds, most of the dudes are selling drugs and some with white-collar crime and, you know, different, like now they got into weapons, they're bringing in weapons. So it's a different mentality from the state prison and the federal prison inmates, you know, different type of crime level.
Right.
The dudes is doing. So when the guys that's doing the robbery and doing shit and selling drugs in the projects, like down at Barry Farms and shit like that down there, and they come up and coming out of Lorton,
right?
And they come to the feds, they ain't trying to hear nothing. Yeah, they don't care about no gang shit. They don't care who you running with.
Right.
They're trying to fuck you up. You know?
Right. Yeah, them DC niggas wild as a motherfucker, yo.
Yeah, I got a bunch of partners from DC, man. You know, they cool. They just like Brooklyn niggas. Yeah, they on that bullshit. Get on our bullshit too. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you tell me a Jay-Z experience, since you have not, because this guy know it's crazy.
Okay. Now the thing that he was saying on the album with the that he was, you know, getting at Nas with. He was like, that's real talk. Like,
wow.
We was out there in DC, and what happened was we was doing the show. You know what I mean? We flowing and everything. For some reason, the promoter said, "Yo, we got to pull the plug on y'all." You know what I mean? So the crowd kind of got crazy. Like crowd. And DC is a little, DC is a little ill. So it got a little ill. Like, and so crowd kind of got crazy. Like crowd. And DC is a little, DC is a little ill. So it got a little ill. Like, and so yo, we going back to the bus. They like, all right, rap it. Yo, we going back to the bus. The crowd kind of coming to the bus. Like, yo, we need answers. You know what I mean? Yo, Jay was right back there. He had
with the tech on the dresser?
He had that. Irv was there.
Irv
it was early.
Wow, that's legendary.
I ain't say what he had. I just said he had that. He had.
Yorkers in and out of D.C. that Wayne Perry or anyone was like, yo, there's some New Yorkers down here, we're gonna kill them?
See, now that, you know what? I didn't let that happen.
Okay.
If I knew about a New Yorker coming to D.C. and I knew them, I would step to them first and let them know, like, look, you need to be real careful down here. You need to. I don't know if you ever heard this kid named Daddy-O.
Daddy-O?
Yeah, Spanish kid named Daddy.
Okay.
It's a Spanish kid. She was with this kid Daddy. Now this kid Daddy came on down to D.C. and I told him, I said, yo, whatever you do, don't come down here with a bunch of New Yorkers, man, and thinking you're gonna take over and all that, because you're gonna cause yourself problems.
Right.
Surround yourself with some good D.C. dudes and feed them, make sure they eat, and you're gonna be all right. They're gonna protect you.
Right.
He came down with a whole bunch of New Yorkers, and they wind up playing him out and wind up leaving him in D.C. He left D.C. in a body bag.
Left D.C. in a body bag.
Yeah. And I used to tell him, and a couple other New Yorkers come down there, because I used to see a lot of them during, like, Howard's homecoming.
Right.
Because they started hearing about how fly Howard homecomings were. So I used to see him, I used to be like, yo, just be careful. Here's my beeper number. Call me if you got any problems. Because, again, I had the town on lock, so I know who was doing what. And so I looked out for the New Yorkers that I knew that used to come to New York.
Right.
I tried to look out for them. I even sent some of them away, like, yo, you ain't even ready for this, man. Just get up out of here, man. Try Baltimore.
Was that rough out in D.C.?
Yo, it was the wild, wild west. You hear me?
The Wild Wild West.
Listen, dudes was getting killed for stepping on sneakers. How the hell am I going to be in a club that only holds 500 people, and there's 2,000 people in there, and not step on your shoe? Dudes was getting laid out because you stepped on somebody's shoe in D.C. You couldn't look at a dude too long in D.C. without him talking about, man, what you looking at, man? And wait for you, and you think it's over there, and he outside with an AK, he outside with a little baby Uzi lighting you up.
It was young kids, like the age of Pop, 15 years old.
15 years old. It wasn't no, you putting your hands on a 15-year-old talking about go get your big brother. His big brother was a 9mm. And they was killing you. You hear me? So that old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Right.
So I quickly seen that this was a place that I could make a lot of money, but now I got to put my game down. I got to put it down. Although I wasn't trying to bring it down there, but to survive, you had to do it, and you got to let it be known that you're putting it down like that, because that's the only thing they respect. They ain't gonna respect a brother trying to just be smooth and get money.
Right.
You got to put the murder game down. So that's how come I recruited Wayne, because I wasn't ready to put the murder game down all like that. So once I recruited Wayne, they already knew his rep.
Okay. Wayne.
Man, I'm from Washington, D.C., man. Southeast Washington. Southeast Washington. Y'all motherfuckers don't know what that is. That shit is like 3 Harlems and a half a Bronx. Bad motherfucking neighborhood, man. My neighborhood's so fucking bad, mailman leaves shit on the corner, let you sort it out. Swear to God, man. Big old roaches look like little baby feet. Big motherfuckers, man. I walked in my...
Like that area, Trinidad. Then you had these boys over in Southeast called, oh, man. But just Southeast Print was known for being real rough. Southeast to them was like a Brooklyn to us.
Oh, yeah, Southeast was real rough.
Yeah. It was definitely ghetto haven over there. It was like a Brooklyn to us.
Okay.
And then you had some jokers coming out of Northwest. DC was definitely not a town to play with. They didn't think twice about laying you out in DC.
And you just felt comfortable being there.
I was there, yeah, I
With
felt
no New Yorkers, with no family, did you ever sleep?
Get right price, me and him can go too.
I hear that.
See, that's right.
Shit, young ass nigga from DC.
That's the real way. I don't
Listen, man, I have to leave New York, because something must be wrong with DC, because they understand me. You know, the DC people understand me, and they're not impressed with me going crazy, because they go crazy all the time. People in New York, I think, they don't understand me well. They don't understand me well. Yeah, but Tommy, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I used to just fall back because I was fucking everything at chapter 3. Every time I go to chapter 3, I take a bad bitch and knock them down. So I mean, they all go to Howard.
What year is this?
So, this is 88.
1988 DC.
Yeah, 88 DC, nigga, with all that motherfucking go-go music, man, and Chuck Brown and Soldier.
Right.
DC was popping, nigga.
Right.
Yo, that motherfucker, that nigga Dougie Fresh out that joint. I get ready.
Okay.
Yo, we go to the place called the Black Hole. That motherfucker in there is bananas, niggas. And Scooter in there knocking niggas out all night. Boop, bop. He loved it. Yo, that Chuck Brown social going, I get ready. DC, don't stand for Dodge City. Hey, nigga, DC was all of that, my nigga. All of that in the 80s, man.
Okay.
I fucked some of the baddest bitches out that motherfucker, man. Them bitches, they psycho, though. They hate when you got another bitch, man. They go psychotic. They go, nigga. You ain't gonna do this here in DC.
Don't stand for Dodge City. I looked in the paper and they are ready. That tree is it today. The prime motivated by a common tug. That 5-letter word we know as drug. We got to end this crazy and bring the mass destruction down to its knees. We must set priorities to bring us back together in unity. This is a lecture full of beauty and history, and with pride and hope for you and me. DC is the capital town, but we must agree that sometimes it's like Dodge City.
Are you familiar with the DC Blacks?
Yeah, that was as familiar as I am with my own hand.
What can you remember about the DC Blacks? I've had the pleasure of interviewing a couple of guys who are, somewhat affiliated with the DC Blacks. But what do you remember about the DC inmates, period? And then we'll go to the DC Blacks and the thing with Cadillac and Silverstein, etc. But what do you recall about Washington, D.C.?
They're a pain in the ass. I mean, they're non-cooperative as a group. I'm saying there's individuals that are slightly less pain in the ass, and then there's some that are like a lot more pain in the ass. But as a group, like when they shut down the DC system and all them guys came into the federal system, we just groaned and like, oh God, not this. And it turned out to be just exactly that. I mean, we had disturbances all the time. Right after they came into the system, because I think they had to show their dominance and their power. And they're not an actual organization, but they hang together because, hey, I know you know me, we were out on whatever street. I lived in the D.C. area for a while, and there was a couple of guys that I know I met them.
Were they a big part of the inmate population at Marion? Was DC pretty dominant as far as numbers?
No, but they were a significant group, but they weren't a dominant, but they were between them and the Aryan Brotherhood, they caused the most trouble.